That's number one. Number two, I'm not the first scientist to say AIDS was man-made, but as far as I know, I'm the first black scientist to say it with documents and proof. If you read the New America paper, the AIDS virus was secretly created by man. I did not say this originally. This was being said by white American physician, Dr. Robert Strecker, says this with documents, okay? I'm giving you some documents. Next point. Let's continue. If you read the London Times of England, which is one of the most respected papers in the world, they came out, London Times, May the 11th, 1987, smallpox vaccine trigger AIDS virus in Africa. Get this, you must have public libraries here. Go to one of the biggest public libraries, ask them to give you a copy of the London Times, May the 11th, 1987. I'll give Brother Dale Jones a copy of this, and he can run off copies, and it can be in his brother's store. I know Brother Jones will do that. He has a London paper. You know what the story was? They said the World Health Organization, which was headed by a white American doctor, which was in cahoot with the Center for Disease Control in Atlanta, Georgia. They went to Africa and said, look, our black brothers, we want to aid you. We want to eradicate smallpox. We will finance and vaccinate your people. They vaccinated over 100 million black Africans against smallpox. Everywhere they injected the smallpox vaccination, those people came up with the AIDS virus. The smallpox vaccination was tinted with the AIDS virus. It was deliberately done. It was mass murder. It made Adolf Hitler look like a Sunday school boy. Right. They have doomed, by the year 2000, over 100 million black Africans are going to be dead. Your government financed, conceived, initiated, and carried out this program. Read the London Times. It's not Dr. Felder, it's their brothers in England who studied here. This is their document, it's not mine. Do you understand? You may say to me, Dr. Felder, this is horrible, but I don't believe you. How many of you have read the book Bad Blood? Do you know what this book says with documents and proof? In 1932, the United States Health Department, under the auspices of the Center for Disease Control, they concocted, let's run some tests on a germs, a syphilis sporoset. And they picked a county in America that was totally segregated, Tuskegee County in Alabama. And they injected 900 black men with the syphilis sporoset. Some people say they tested them and they discovered syphilis. No. These people were injected with the syphilis sporoset. What happened? They ran this study for 40 years. Can you imagine the men who were dying, going crazy, getting crooked bones, having heart attacks? They gave it to their wives. Their children were born with it. It ran into the thousands. This was your government. It's your government. It's not my government. They did it cold-bloodedly. And you know what happened? In 1972, a white female reporter broke the story. And then it blew up. And then it stopped then. If she had not stopped the story, it wouldn't have stopped. That's one. If there was one, my goodness, how many more they're doing we don't know about. Do you understand? Go to to the brother bookstore, get this book. I brought the 8 books down, so. Okay, now let's continue. We go to another aspect. They said Magic Johnson. White newspaper claimed they showed 3 blondes. They are bragging, we gave Magic Johnson AIDS. We're going to die. He's going to die. So. I don't know whether you trust it. It was in the Globe newspaper. I picked it up some months ago. So I made some copies. Maybe I'll give Brother Dale Jones, and he can run off copies, okay? Let's continue. Some people may say, well, I don't know what a biochemist is. I'll tell you what a biochemist is, right? A biochemist is a scientist who is a biologist and a chemist. And what we do, we deal with the chemical basis of living things. The molecular structure of living things. How do they come together? How do they form molecules? How do they form cells? How do the cells reproduce? That's my specialties, okay? I also was trained by the United States Army to be a germ warfare specialist. That was my job. For 2 years, I worked as a scientist, a soldier scientist. 1 year I was in Chicago, 1880 West Prison Road. Then they shipped me to Natick Laboratories right outside of Boston, a huge complex, over 2,000 scientists, working 24 hours a day. I was an expert in CBRs. What is CBRs? Chemical, biological, radiation warfare. That was my specialty. When my military time was over, they offered me a job, and I worked 3 years for them. So I have a total of 5 years working for them. Now, all this talk, the government, Robert Gallo, and this man Coop is putting out, it's disinformation. It's propaganda, it's lies. Let me tell you something. They do this because they know you are not a virologist and you don't understand. Tell you a secret. Most of the doctors who are expert on AIDS are veterinarians. Veterinarians. A regular medical doctor cannot deal with AIDS. He doesn't know anything about it. He cannot treat it. He doesn't know what's happening. Why? Why veterinarians? AIDS virus is a man-made retrovirus. You have 2 types of virus, DNA, RNA. DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid, okay? So we'll just say it for the layman, it's straightforward, ABC, okay? Whereby retrovirus is a backwards, it's CBA, you know, it's opposite. You understand? Now, what happened? I do not know how long mankind has been on this planet, but as a scientist, I know we evolved over millions of years, okay? And as far as I know, the true man evolved somewhere in East Africa, and then he went all over the world. And some of you may not like it, but he went to Europe, he went to Asia, and due to the climatic conditions, the environment, they changed. You understand what I'm saying? It was snowy, cold, they lived in caves. They slowly lost their melanin because there was no use for it, and they needed all the sunlight, so they became what we call Europeans. Others became Asians, okay? The ones who stayed in Africa, they remained the same. And I'll tell you something. All races of people have their own attributes. People say, why Africans got kinky hair? The reason, you have the hot tropical sun, you have your kinky hair, it insulates your brains from getting burned up by the sun. That's why. Why do you have dark skin? It's the sunshade to keep the sun from burning you out. Why do you have a big rump? These black girls with these big rumps. The same reason the camel have the hump. Africans were hunters. You may eat today and you may